Okay, let's talk healthcare access. We usually think serious diagnostics mean a trip to a big hospital, right?
Right. The big building, the specialized wing.
Exactly. But things are shifting, even for complex stuff like MRIs or CT scans. That might not be the only way anymore. The tech is sort of coming to us.
Yeah, that shift you're talking about, bringing those advanced imaging tools closer to the patient.
Yeah.
Well, that's basically mobile imaging services in a nutshell.
Okay.
It is what it sounds like, putting diagnostic gear in a mobile unit, like a truck or trailer, and taking it where it needs to go.
Right. So not just fixed places. We're talking x-rays, ultrasounds, maybe even those high-end scanners on wheels, reaching different spots, maybe even someone's home.
Precisely. It's all about expanding the reach, making diagnostics more convenient.
And today, we're doing a deep dive into this whole area. We're using a specific source. It's excerpts from a market report. The title is The Global Mobile Imaging Services Market Size Will Be USD 780 million in 2025.
Right. And our mission really is to unpack what this report is telling us. What's the market look like right now? Where's it heading?
What's driving it all?
Exactly. And maybe most importantly, what could this trend mean for you for how healthcare gets delivered down the line?
Okay, so let's jump right in. The overview from the report, what's the big picture figure?
Well, the global market for these mobile services is already pretty substantial. The report puts the value at USD 780 million in 2025.
Wow. Okay, 16.78 billion. That's already huge for something that maybe feels a bit niche still, and it's growing.
Oh yeah, definitely not standing still. The projection is for quite significant growth. They see it reaching USD 788.53 million by 2033.
22.78 billion. So, okay, that's a pretty big jump in what, 8 years? What kind of growth rate are we talking about?
So over that time frame, 2025 to 2033, the report forecasts a compound annual growth rate, a CGR of 3.90%.
Okay, 3.9%, steady growth. And the report uses data going back a bit.
It does. It looks at historical data from 2021 to 2024, uses that estimated 2025 number as a base, and then projects out to 2033. So, yeah, it gives us a decent window.
Good. Provide some context. So let's unpack the forces behind that growth. What does the report say are the key drivers, the big whys?
Okay, so one of the biggest drivers, maybe the biggest, is the rise in chronic diseases. Think heart conditions, cancer, neurological issues. These often need regular imaging.
Right, for monitoring or catching things early.
Exactly. And for people dealing with these long-term, especially older folks or those who, have trouble getting around, heading to an imaging center regularly is tough. Mobile imaging just solves that problem.
Makes perfect sense. Brings the mountain to Muhammad, so to speak.
It really does. The report highlights that bringing the tech to the patient is a game changer, especially for aging populations or people with limited mobility. They even mention a partnership, Siemens Healthineers and Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, as an example of bringing advanced imaging right to where patients are. It boosts access and, well, it drives the market.
That's a great real-world example. What else is pushing this forward?
Technology. That's fundamental. I mean, the equipment itself is just getting more portable, lighter. We're seeing compact MRIs, digital X-ray units, stuff you can actually put in a truck.
And it's not just about making it smaller, is it? The report mentioned image quality getting better too, faster scans, even less radiation.
Yeah, absolutely. The tech is improving across the board. And another huge piece is the integration of AI and cloud platforms. That's kind of revolutionary for mobile.
How so?
Well, it lets radiologists look at the images remotely. The scan happens and the mobile unit gets sent up to the cloud, and an expert anywhere can read it almost instantly. Massively speeds things up.
Okay.
The report points to CDL Nuclear Technologies launching a mobile cardiac PT-CT trailer just recently, April 2024. That's a perfect example. Cutting-edge tech, specifically designed for mobile use.
So you've got better, smaller tech, plus this remote reading capability. That ties directly into the third driver you mentioned earlier, right? Accessibility and demand.
Exactly. Mobile imaging, by its nature, reaches people who might be far from a hospital in underserved areas. And it offers that flexibility, on-demand scans where they're needed. It can take some pressure off the main hospitals, too.
Okay, so we get the why, but are there any major roadblocks, things holding the market back from maybe growing even faster?
The report is pretty clear on this one. The biggest hurdle, high operational costs.
Right. I guess these machines, even mobile ones, aren't cheap.
Not at all. The initial cost to buy an advanced mobile MRI or CT scanner is really high. And then you've got ongoing costs maintaining it, paying the skilled people to run it, transportation, fuel.
Plus, navigating regulations probably differs place to place.
Exactly. It all adds up. It's a big financial commitment.
So while it makes healthcare more accessible for patients, that cost factor could limit who can actually offer the service, right? Especially smaller providers.
Precisely. The report flags that high cost as a key restraint. It can slow down how widely these services spread.
Okay. So shifting gears a bit from drivers and restraints, what about current trends? What's happening now in the market, according to the report?
Well, a big trend is just the continued uptake of those advanced technologies we talked about. More 3D, even 4D imaging. Digital radiography keeps getting better. Portable ultrasound is huge.
And AI keeps getting integrated more.
Definitely. AI and machine learning are being used more and more to process images faster, maybe even help improve diagnostic accuracy. Real-time visualization is becoming more common.
Which is super important for diagnosing things early, planning treatment, especially if you're somewhere without easy access to a big medical center.
Absolutely. And closely tied to that is the boom in telemedicine and remote diagnostics. We touched on it, but it's a massive trend.
Right, the Clyde platform's digital communication.
Yeah. A mobile unit scans in one place, sends the images instantly, a specialist reads them somewhere else entirely.
And I bet the pandemic really kicked this into high gear.
Oh, hugely. The report points that out. COVID really highlighted the need for diagnostics that didn't force people into crowded waiting rooms.
Makes sense.
And there are recent examples. The report mentions HSE in Ireland announcing a mobile X-ray service last year, August 2023, specifically for older patients, trying to keep them out of the ER. And Shimadzu launched a new digital mobile X-ray system back in July 2022, aimed globally for more flexible imaging.
Interesting. The report also flags something about external factors, right? It mentions trade issues like Trump's tariff war.
Yes, it does note that.
Yeah.
It's important to understand how the report discusses this. It analyzes the impact of things like policy shifts or trade dynamics on the market.
From an economic angle.
Purely economic. It's not taking up a political side or anything, just noting these external factors as things that can influence market conditions. Just part of the overall analysis.
Got it. Just reporting the analysis from the source. Okay, let's break down this market a bit more. How does the report segment things? Like what types of imaging are offered and who's actually using these mobile services?
Okay, so by type of imaging, the report looks at several different kinds offered in mobile units.
Is there one type that's kind of the leader, the most common?
Yeah, according to the report, X-ray is the dominant segment. It's the workhorse, really.
Why is that?
Well, it's used so widely, right, for fractures, infections, common stuff. It's also relatively portable, more cost-effective than, say, an MRI, and gives quick results. Plus, digital X-ray tech has made mobile units really practical.
Okay, so the most common type of scan overall is also the most common mobile one. Makes sense. What about the fastest growing type? Any segment really taking off?
That would be PTCCT, according to the report. Positron emission tomography combined with computed tomography.
The more complex scans.
Exactly.
Mhm.
While X-ray has the volume, PTCT is growing fastest. It's really good for complex diseases, cancer, neurological conditions. There's a huge demand for early, precise diagnosis there. Combine that with the improvements making mobile PTCT units more feasible, and you see why it's growing so quickly.
And the report mentions others too, right? Like ultrasound, MRI, CT, bone density scans, mammography.
Yes, those are all part of the mix too.
Yeah.
Ultrasound, MRI, CT, bone densitometry, and mammography are also offered via mobile services, covering a pretty wide range of diagnostic needs on the go.
Okay. Now, who are the main customers, the end users?
The report says hospitals and private clinics actually hold the largest share of the market.
That seems a bit counterintuitive. Don't they have their own machines? Why use mobile?
Good question. The report gives a few reasons. One, they have high patient volumes, sometimes need scans for critical care patients who are hard to move. Mobile units can come right to the bedside almost.
Convenience within the hospital itself.
Right. Also, it helps them supplement their own capacity, maybe during busy periods or if a machine is down, or it lets them offer a specialized scan without having to buy and install, every single type of expensive scanner themselves. It can actually streamline their workflow.
Okay, that makes more sense, like an overflow or specialized extension. So which end user group is growing the fastest then?
That would be the home healthcare service providers.
Right, that fits with everything we hear about aging in place and more home-based care.
Exactly. There's just this rising demand for healthcare delivered at home. You've got the aging population, more chronic conditions being managed at home. People often prefer it, and it avoids the hassle of travel.
And the tech makes it possible now.
Yeah, portable tech plus telemedicine means home healthcare providers can offer pretty sophisticated diagnostics right in the patient's living room. It's convenient, timely, and often what patients want.
And the report listed some other users too, rehab centers, nursing homes.
Yep. Rehabilitation centers, geriatric care and hospice agencies, even sports organizations sometimes use them. And other niche users like military institutions and prisons. So a wide range of settings.
Okay, let's switch to geography. Where is this market biggest and where's the fastest action happening?
All right, so based on the report's 2025 estimates, North America is the dominant region. It accounts for over 40% of the global revenue that's valued at USD 208.60 million.
Over 6 billion just in North America. Why the lead there?
The report points to a few things. Well-developed healthcare infrastructure, high adoption of new tech, strong demand for early diagnosis, partly demographic-driven, plus you've got major companies based there, supportive policies in some cases, and a big push in telemedicine,
And its growth rate.
projected at a solid 2.7% CAGR.
Okay. How about other major regions?
Europe is next, holding over 30% share. That's around USD 866.0 million, with a projected growth rate of 3.0% CAGR. So slightly faster growth than North America.
And Asia Pacific.
Asia Pacific is about 23% of the market, USD 427.2 million. But here's the really interesting part. It's got the fastest projected CAGR by far, 6.6%.
Wow, 6.6. That's more than double North America's rate. What's fueling that boom in Asia Pacific?
Several factors, according to the report. Rapidly rising chronic diseases, just like elsewhere, but maybe starting from a different base. A growing aging population. Healthcare infrastructure is improving significantly in many countries there. Telemedicine adoption is increasing. There's a strong demand for cost-effective solutions, and governments are often pushing initiatives to improve healthcare access, especially outside big cities.
Fascinating. And the other regions?
South America has over 5% share, about USD 637.64 million, growing at 4.2%. The Middle East is around 2%, USD 671.2 million, growing at 4.4%. And Africa has the smallest share, about 1%, that's USD 369.16 million, and also the lowest projected CAGR, just 0.2%.
That regional picture really shows different stages of development and investment, doesn't it? Did the report mention specific countries?
It did offer some granularity, like within North America, the U.S. market alone is pegged at almost $4.9 billion in 2025. USD 898.59 million, growing at 2.5%. In Asia-Pacific, China's big, nearly $1.7 billion, USD 1691.42 million in 2025, growing at 6.1%. But then look at India's smaller market size in 2025, about $403 million, USD 402.72 million, but projected to grow at a huge 8.5% CAGR.
Wow, 8.5% for India. That's really standout growth. Okay, last piece, the companies making all this happen. Who are the key players named in the report?
Yeah, it's a competitive space. The report lists the several major players. You'll definitely know names like Siemens Healthineers, GE Healthcare, Philips Healthcare, Canon Medical Systems too.
The big imaging giants.
Right, but also others like Carestream Health, Hologic, Samsung Medicine, Fujifilm Healthcare, an Italian company, Saudi SPA, Mindry from China, Igo Gravart Group, and Samsung Healthcare again.
So a mix of global players, and what are they focusing on to compete?
A lot of focus on tech advancements, obviously, making things smaller, better, faster. Strategic partnerships are big, teaming up to expand reach or offer combined services, geographic expansion, pushing into those high-growth regions, and really leveraging AI for diagnostics and integrating tightly with telehealth platforms. That seems key.
Okay, let's try and wrap this up then. This deep dive into the market report really shows, a pretty big and definitely growing global market for mobile imaging services.
Absolutely. It's clear it's being pushed by this need for more accessible diagnostics driven by chronic diseases, aging populations, and really enabled by technology getting smaller, better, and more connected.
And we saw that breakdown. X-ray is still the main workhorse by type, but the really fast growth is in advanced PET-CT scans, showing demand for complex diagnosis on the move.
And usage-wise, hospitals and clinics are the biggest users now, often supplementing their own gear. But the fastest growth, that's coming from home healthcare providers, tapping into that huge trend of care moving into the home.
Geographically, North America leads in size, but Asia-Pacific is where the most explosive growth is expected, driven by demographics and improving infrastructure. India's growth rate really stood out there.
Yeah, and it's a competitive field. Major companies are innovating hard, partnering up, and really weaving AI and telehealth into their mobile offerings.
So thinking about the listener, what does this all mean for you? Well, if you need scans or care for someone who does, or if you're just watching where medicine is going, this shows how tech and demographics are making advanced diagnostics way more convenient, way more available than they used to be. It could really change how you or someone you know gets these vital services in the future.
And it leads to a bigger thought, doesn't it? As this mobile imaging gets smarter, more integrated with AI, with remote experts, how does that start to change the role of the traditional hospital?
Right. What new possibilities open up when high-tech scans can happen almost anywhere? But also, what are the challenges? Ensuring quality everywhere, managing all that data, making sure access is fair globally. It's definitely a big shift to watch as this market keeps evolving.